guys, it's Health Coach Aleisha from Dakota Natural Health Center. Doing a little video today, a little bit different. I wanted to tell you guys about my story, why I became a health and wellness coach, why I'm passionate about thyroid health, just that kind of thing. I've never completely shared it, so I just wanted to kind of give you guys a brief overview. And the reason I'm doing that is because come September here, I'm offering a thyroid boost program, which is something I'm really excited about. And I'm excited because I get to launch it for my 40th birthday. I've always wanted to do something to help others along their journeys to health and wellness with their thyroid. And that's one of the reasons I became a health and wellness coach, is because I was looking for someone like myself when I was going through in the midst of my thyroid issues. But just to kind of give you guys a brief history about myself and why it would be beneficial for you to work with me when I do launch this thyroid program, or just in general. I was 16 when I was diagnosed with hypothyroidism, which is a sluggish thyroid. My mom took me in because I was always cold, I was super skinny, I was losing hair, I always had stomach aches, I had headaches, my periods were irregular, kind of classic symptoms of thyroid. And they did my blood work, and they said, yeah, your thyroid's a little low, we'll put you on some medication. So I've been on levothyroxine or Synthroid since I was 16. It helped, but never completely. I always still felt kind of off. My period was still always irregular. So then we decided to put me on birth control to help regulate my periods. Well, now, after learning all the stuff I've known, being on birth control pills depletes your body of the nutrients needed for optimal thyroid health. Selenium, zinc, magnesium, some B vitamins. Those are things that are depleted when you take birth control for long periods of time. And unfortunately, those are also the nutrients I needed for optimal thyroid health. And so my thyroid wasn't getting any better by me being on birth control pills. So I look back on that now, and it kind of is like, oh, but you trust your doctor. That's what you do. And so it wasn't really a big thing back then, but as I've gotten older and more things have not worked out quite right, I had a superficial blood clot, and so I had to go off of thyroid birth control, because that's one of the side effects of birth control too, is it can help cause blood clots. So I was forced basically to go off of my birth control, but it was crazy. After I did, my periods kind of regulated. So that was a good thing. It was kind of a blessing in disguise. But I just started to feel worse and worse because of my thyroid, and no one would listen. I'd go in and say, I'm cold, I'm so tired, I just don't feel right, I can't think straight, I don't sleep well. And they would test my thyroid and they'd say, well, you're normal. Well, normal wasn't my normal, and all they were testing was my TSH. And so that was a little disheartening, especially after what I know now of the different tests that should be taken so that you can get the full picture of how your thyroid's working. So I struggled all through my college years. I gained a lot of weight, and I couldn't get it off. I would exercise. I would try to eat better. It just wasn't coming off, and I never felt right. Like I said, my TSH was always normal. I saw naturopathic doctors. I saw regular doctors, endocrinologists, nurse practitioners, chiropractors, consults with my pharmacist. You name it, I probably saw them. And still nothing quite made me feel better. Then in 2014, I had a miscarriage, and I was 35. And in that time, after that set my body into the perfect storm, and I flared big time. I didn't know I had Hashimoto's yet, but I flared big time. So then when I went in to the doctor and they tested my TSH, I was at a 25. That's the highest I've known it to be. It could have been that high or higher throughout my whole life. I don't know. I just know how I felt at 25. I had such severe brain fog. I know I've told this story before, but I walked into the grocery store with a list of 2 or 3 items, didn't write it down because I was going to remember it, walked into the grocery store, couldn't remember one single thing. I was so upset. I wandered around that grocery store, I'm not joking, for 45 minutes, told myself I will not leave here until I remember what I needed and what I wanted. But that's how bad my brain fog was. I couldn't complete a sentence without going, I sounded dumb because I couldn't get my words out. And that was really frustrating to me. Also in this time, my energy was crazy. Like, I moved in this time period, and I was moving to the 3rd floor of a building, and I went up and down those steps 2 or 3 times, and I was done. Like, I couldn't function, and then that makes my brain fog worse. And so I remember my dad saying, you just stay up here, you just tell people where to put stuff, take it easy. And then after everything was done, I literally laid on the couch for probably 12 hours and didn't move because I couldn't. I physically could not because I was so depleted of energy. Also in that time then, I found Dr. Isabella Wentz's book, The Root Cause, Hashimoto's. So when my thyroid was at a 25, I was diagnosed then with Hashimoto's. We tested my antibodies, finally, after over 16 years. We finally did it with my persistence. My pharmacist, Kevin, asked me if I had ever had my antibodies tested, and I said, I don't think so. He's like, you should get those tested. So I did. I told my nurse practitioner I wanted those tested. Oh, she didn't know if the insurance would cover it. Well, you know what? I didn't care. I wanted it done. So she did, and yep, I had antibodies, and they were high. They were in the 600s or 700s at that point. And that's why we could never regulate my medication. That's why I always felt crappy. And there's so many different factors that can affect your antibodies. It can be nutrient deficiencies, which is what I had from taking the birth control all those years. It can be from eating poor. I ate a lot of sugar. I loved sugar. I think I had a candida overgrowth too. So that was something else I needed to take care of. And there was just so many different factors. And when I read this book, she went through all of that stuff. And this was like my saving grace. It was something that I decided to take into my own hands and started slowly implementing the things that she suggested. Going gluten-free, adding some of the supplementation. Also, in the meantime, my family and I decided that I was going to go down to Mayo because I just was not getting better, and we couldn't figure out how to bring down my TSH, how to regulate my medication. We just couldn't figure it out. And so we made an appointment at Mayo, went down there, and to say the least, I was very disappointed. Went in to see a doctor. They didn't even do any blood work that day. She went for my blood work that had been done 3 months earlier. She looked at all the supplements I was on, the ones that I had started taking because they made me feel better. And I could feel that. And she told me to go off all of my supplements, and she'd increase my thyroid medication. So now at this point I was at 225 micrograms a day. That's a high dose. And I would feel better in 3 months. I remember standing in that doctor's office and just bawling. It still makes me kind of sad. She wouldn't listen to me. I was just some thyroid case. Whatever. She had no words of encouragement for me, nothing. She just told me, go off all your supplements, you're taking too much. You have vitamin A toxicity, which I didn't. She didn't. How would she know that? She never did any blood work or anything for me. So anyway, I was really disappointed with that. But we talked about it on the way home and said, okay, let's do it. Let's try it. So I'll go off all of my supplements for the next 3 months. We'll increase my medication for 3 months, and we'll see what happens. Well, you guessed it. I got worse. Didn't help at all. So I took matters into my own hands. I went back on the supplements that I knew I needed. I got my team together that supports me, my pharmacist, Kevin, my naturopathic doctors. At that time, I was working with Dr. Faye and Dr. Beth. I now also work with Dr. Stephanie, my nurse practitioner, Amanda, chiropractor. I was working with all of these people to get myself back on track. And they were great. They are awesome because they would listen to me and they would say, okay, yeah, let's try that. Let's try this for 3 months. You come back in, we'll test your levels and see where you're at, see if it's working. So this is what we did. But this has been a slow process. That was, 5 years ago, 4 years ago. And I am finally beginning to feel like myself again. Probably it's been less than that, maybe 3 years. And I finally feel like I can function, But the things that I did were just little. They were lifestyle changes. I took out gluten. I started eating lots more fruits and vegetables and lean proteins and cutting out the processed foods. I started taking supplements, my selenium, my magnesium, my zinc, and keeping track of how I felt. Also doing self-care things for my, that was getting a massage or taking off of work, or there was a point when I was feeling so lousy that I did have to cut my hours at work. I came in from 10 to 4 every day because that was all I could function. And thank goodness I had such an understanding boss and coworkers, but that's all I could do. And now I'm back to working 8 to 5 or 40 hours a week, and I'm feeling good, and I can exercise now. That was another thing I had to cut out. I just couldn't exercise. I know that sounds silly, but my body was in no shape to do that. It was more detrimental to me to exercise than to just rest and let my body heal. And so these are the things that I've learned. This is just a snippet, just a kind of overview. And with this thyroid program that I'm doing, the thyroid boost program, I'm going to go into more detail about all of this. And so if you have brain fog, or if you have that 3 o'clock slump and you just can't figure out why, or maybe you have trouble losing weight or gaining weight, or you just don't feel right, but all your numbers check out according to your doctor, this program might be for you. We're going to look at diet. We're going to look at lifestyle. We're going to look at supplements. We're going to look at stress and sleep, sugar, supplements, all that kind of stuff that totally affect your thyroid. And I'm really excited about this program because I want to share with you the things that I've learned, the things that I've tried. I know how it feels to have such brain fog that you feel like you're going crazy because you can't complete your sentences, you can't get a thought out, your memory is ridiculous, your hair is falling out. I mean, there was a point where I didn't hardly even go and get my hair cut because I was scared because it was coming out in gobs. And so I've moved past that. I've gotten so much better. It is still a daily struggle. It is still something that I know I have to work on every single day. But it's possible to feel good. I know how it feels to get your energy back. I know how it feels to be able to have an intelligent conversation with somebody again. I know how it feels to not feel like I need to take a nap at 10 a.m. or 3 p.m. or all day long. I know how it feels to not have to lay on the couch all weekend. That was my weekends. I would work all week, and then on the weekends I would lay on the couch all weekend to rest for the next week. And so I've been there, and I know how it feels, and I know you can get better if you want to. I know it's scary to try new things, and you might think, well, what if I do get better? That was a scary thought for me too. What if I do feel better? It's great. It's great to feel better. It's great to be able to socialize again, to go out and hang out with my friends and my family and not have to feel like I need to make an excuse of why I can't go out because I don't feel well. And it's a invisible illness. People don't see it. It's not like you have a sore on your arm and people can see that. It's inside and it affects so much of us. There was a point where I felt so depressed that I would cry at the drop of a hat. But now I know that that's not what it was. It was my thyroid. My thyroid was so far off that it affected my mood. It did. And you know what's crazy? Because I did go on some antidepressants for a while, and they worked for a little bit. But that wasn't the root cause. We need to get to that root. Why are you feeling like that? And a lot of times it's because of our thyroid not functioning properly. And then when our thyroid doesn't function properly, then our adrenal glands aren't going to function properly, and then our reproductive system's not going to function properly, and it's just this vicious cycle. I know Dr. Stephanie, one of the things she has her patients do if they are for fertility is to make sure that their thyroid's working properly. That was why I couldn't carry the baby that I had. My thyroid was so far off. It wasn't a hospitable environment for a baby, and so. But it can be done. It can be done for you to get better and feel better and gain your life back. And so I just wanted to share my story with you guys so that you see where I'm coming from when I talk about it's part of your journey. It's part of your journey to health and wellness. Yeah, it's something that still gets me a little choked up because it's been a long journey. But I'm finally feeling like myself and feeling so much better. And that's why I also talk about the circle of life wheel. There's so many other areas of our health and wellness journeys that if we balance it, things start to fall into place. And that was part of this too, was just I needed to get that health part of my circle in balance and in check. And now that I'm this healthier, I am really in tune with my body. Once my body got to the point where I can feel now, and I can tell now when something's off. My throat gets hoarse if my antibodies increase. I get a hoarse voice. I get a swollen neck. I get more headaches. I can tell when something's off now. And before I couldn't because I just felt yucky all the way around. But now that I'm healthy, I'm really in tune with my body and I know what's good for me and what's not good for me. And that's kind of a really cool thing to be able to feel that in yourself and know that about yourself and be so sure of what's going on. Because you are your own best doctor. You know how you feel. You know the things that make you feel good and feel bad. So that's part of the reason I also wrote my guided journal, or the journal that I have, is just to help people keep track of how they feel, what they're eating, if they're taking their supplements, being consistent with exercise and drinking water. Those are just things that I learned along my way that I needed to do to feel better. So I hope that you'll think about maybe joining me with the Thyroid Boost program. Keep watching for it. I'm going to launch it here in September for my 40th birthday, which is pretty exciting to me. So 40 is my year, you guys. Every year I've said it's my year, but I think 40 is my year, 40 and fabulous. So I'm pretty excited. Thanks for sticking with me through this video. I know it was kind of long, but I wanted to share with you what I've been through and the journey I've been on. And hopefully you can relate. And it doesn't necessarily even have to be a thyroid condition. I want to be that person that you can talk to and bounce things off of. A lot of our disease, correcting it, starts with the same things as it did with my own lifestyle changes. And that's what I'm here for as a health and wellness coach, is to help you figure out which lifestyle changes we need to focus on to get you feeling better and get you feeling more like yourself and getting your life back. So if you guys have any questions, leave me a comment, send me an email, call me. I'd be happy to help you. So remember, it's all part of your journey and everybody's journey is different. And taking the first step or the 15th step, whatever it is good. And I'll help you along the way because we don't have to do this alone. We're not meant to do it alone. Okay, so take care and hope to talk to you guys soon.